Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here with me virtually. I'm really thrilled to be part of the Python Web Conference. Got my cool jersey on. So I'm going to talk to you today about redesigning the tech talent pipeline. Um, and I think this is going to be very interesting because we have to look at things differently now in this new space that we're in. First, though, I'll start with a little bit about me. So, the catalyst for my career was my sister asking me, "What are you going to do with your life?" when I was 21 years old. And I thought I was doing it. I was an office manager and I got to drink beer on Friday. So, I thought that was a pretty cool deal. But she said, "No, you need to do something else." So, she introduced me to Vax VMS, which is dating me a bit, and had me start at the hospital where she worked as a systems operator. From there, I gained a lot of experience working on VAX VMS systems, and I took a gig with Dow Elanco at the time. It's now Corteva, and I started my career there on a help desk, and it was system support. This is Linda, where I supported LAN, I supported VAX, I supported IBM. And I got a lot of great experience. And while I was there, I earned my undergrad in journalism. I traveled through the organization and spent my last 10 years at Dow as a global IT digital leader. And in that role, I also earned my Juris Doctor. So that's a bit about me. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is we're going to go through and talk about the numbers. How do we attract talent? Job description bingo. We'll have a discussion about the 4-year versus credentials and degrees and diversity of talent. So let's just dive in. So here are some numbers. 8.5, Korn Ferry reports that by 2030, there will be 8.5 trillion in lost revenue due to a deficit in the tech talent pipeline. 8.5 trillion. Additionally, according to Challenges in Cloud Transformation Survey, revealed the IT talent shortage is a leading corporate concern. 86% of respondents in that survey said the shortage will slow down cloud projects. Then we have 1.4 million unfilled jobs, according to the US Department of Labor, unfilled computer science jobs. We only have 400,000 tech graduates per year, and we're seeing a tech talent crunch in cybersecurity, and it will create 3.5 million unfilled jobs globally by 2021. Those are really big numbers. Additionally, we know this, we've heard this, we've read this on LinkedIn, we've attended those virtual sessions. We have a lack of diversity in tech, and we're really not making much headway. So Black, Latina, and Native American women only hold 4% of the computing jobs in the US, according to Reboot Representation. 83% of tech executives are white, and women-led startups only received 2.3% of VC funding in 2020. So, it sounds stark, right? So what do we do? What can we do to change the narrative of tech, address those talent needs and address diversity? So let's talk about how we attract tech talent. So first, we really need to demystify computer science. In every conversation that I had when I first started in my role at Ivy Tech, every conversation was, oh, we need to get more people, more kids into computer science. But what does that mean exactly? So the definition, according to tech terms, is computer science is the study of computers and computing concepts, which includes hardware, software, and the internet. That's it. It's sci-fi, it's otherworldly, but it's not. We need to make computer science sound more interesting when we're talking about it. We need to talk about, hey, what do you want to do? Let's map the passion to tech, right? So as an example, do you want to be an artist? Well, you know what you can do? You can draw and create art on an iPad. So we need to talk about it in terms of, what do you love to do? Are you the person that your family always contacts when they need Ring installed, when they're, perplexed with Alexa? Then maybe you need to consider a pathway in tech, which is more focused on networking and cloud. So we need to start mapping that passion to tech and stop talking about computer science as this giant, enormous term, and make it real. We also need to quit classifying tech as coding. Now, granted, coding is essential, right, to understand for tech and in tech job, but it's not the only thing that's tech. So there's Black girls code, women who code, we code, they code, we're all coding, right? And anytime you hear people talk about tech, they're talking about coding. And as an example, I was speaking with someone last week and they said, well, we really need more people to code. And I said, do we need more people to code, or do we need more people in tech? And the response was, well, that's really what tech is, isn't it, when it's coding? And I'm like, no, actually it's not. So we had a big conversation. I explained it and they're like, yeah, I guess that I always think of tech as coding or computer science as coding. We need to talk about tech as we experience tech. It's leading projects, it's tech sales, it's tech writing, it is coding, but it's also networking. So we need to think about this when we're talking with youth, to say, hey, it's not just coding. According to Samuel Bright with Forrester, one factor in lower IT career interest is the unfair perception of the IT career as confined to back office programming and populated by geeks. Now, I don't have any problem being a geek, but that picture of, the Big Bang Theory and the dudes in the Big Bang Theory, right? That, sure, we have people in tech that look like that, but we have people that look like all manner of people in tech. So we need to stop classifying it as that geek profile and really just talk about, hey, you can do tech. You don't have to look like this picture. And Big Bang Theory, which I love Big Bang Theory, by the way. Now, job description bingo. So when we look at job descriptions, what are we saying? What are we communicating to the applicant? So, as an example, I've seen a lot of job descriptions that say you have to be willing to put in all day and night. You're always on call, but it's a rewarding experience. So, but are we writing job burnout into job descriptions? You may need to include that being on call is a requirement, but is it necessary to say be on all day and all night? The other, language you see in job descriptions are score a touchdown, race to the finish line. So are we working in tech or playing sports? So why do we need to sportsify a job description? So why don't we think about, hey, if you really want to succeed in your career, this is a great place. But I don't think we need to speak about tech in terms of sports unless you're working for a sports team, right? Junior roles with Jedi skills. So job descriptions, and I think we've all probably seen this, job descriptions that advertise for junior roles, but list 15 requirements. So if you are looking for a junior programmer and you say, well, we need at least 4 to 5 years experience and all of these requirements, is that really a junior role? So, let's think about when we're writing job descriptions, what they should look like. What do you really need from that role? And, that speaks to flexibility. As you saw earlier, the numbers are there, right? We have a very defined talent shortage. So, we need to think about, when hiring is a challenge, how flexible can you be with the hiring requirements? So as an example, do you really need to have PMP, be Agile certified? Can those things be acquired through training with the organization? Because there's still a lot of people that are Jedi project managers that just haven't gone to get that PMP certification, or they're not a certified Scrum Master, but can you provide that training? And how many people do you screen out of your process by requiring that? So it may be a requirement for the role, and that's okay. But what we need to do is think about how flexible can we be, especially when we have this tech talent shortage. The other thing we should think about is essential skills. I work with employers all the time, and I will tell you that what I hear from them many times is, Linda, the tech skills are great, but we need someone with critical thinking skills. We need someone that can do problem solving, team management, project success, team communication. That is a really critical skill for employees to have. And sometimes more so than the tech skills themselves. So let's think about, when we're writing those job descriptions, what are those essential skills that you're looking for? Because you may have someone who maybe does not have, the Jedi Python skills. We hope they do, especially when you're hiring for that. But what other skills do they have? If they have 2 to 3 years experience in Python and you're looking for 5, look at their skill set. What else do they have? What else are they telling you? And try not to screen them out, but have a conversation with them to learn more. And then HR, come on. I think we all need to have that conversation with HR to say, do you really need a cybersecurity degree or cloud degree or a UX degree? Those degrees exist now, but they haven't been around that long. So when you're writing the job description, do they really need to have a master's in cybersecurity? If so, then let's consider how long it's been that you could acquire a cybersecurity degree. But again, we're looking at the experience. We're looking at the job experience of the person. So we can talk to and assess that, hey, they have an undergrad in journalism, right? Which is what I have. I've worked in tech my whole life. I have a journalism undergrad and a Juris Doctor. So we need to start thinking about those people who have earned a degree out of field, but have a robust career experience. Now, here's the conversation. And a lot of people say, okay, well, Linda, you're vice president of the School of IT at Ivy Tech Community College. So you're going to have this view. And I do. The 4-year degree is essential. And I think we all know in tech, it is very important to continue your learning. It doesn't stop when you walk out of college. It doesn't stop when you earn that certification. We're always learning as tech shifts, right? But is it really required? So I attended an event in December of 2019, and Tim Cook was giving a presentation. And he started out by saying, 50% of Apple employees do not have classic college degrees. 50%. But I think we can all agree that they have a phenomenal level of success. But 50% don't have those classic college degrees. Susan Wojcicki says, big tech has said, you don't need a tech degree to get the job, right? And so is Google, so is Facebook, so is Salesforce, so is IBM. They've all came out to say, you don't need a tech degree to get the job. You may have to achieve that degree while you're in the job. And hopefully that employer has some tuition assistance and other training that they can provide. But to get the job, do you have to have a computer science degree if you're a Jedi code smasher already? I think we need to have that conversation. And also, how do certifications serve as currency? So, it opens doors. So if you have A+, Net+, Linux+, Sec+, let's say you have achieved many of these certifications, and you're pairing that with your experience, that should open the door for a really great job working in tech, because those skills and the vernacular that you learn from those certifications are essential. So, let's think about for a moment, why do we need to insist that we have the 4-year degree? And again, I think What you have to do is make sure that you achieve that degree, continue your learning, but do we really have to have it? Let's have that conversation with our IT leaders and with our HR leaders. And now let's really talk about diversity. So, and I know that a lot of people have said we've been talking about diversity for a while, but let's really think about it. So a 2015 McKinsey report of 366 public companies found that those in the top quartile for ethnic and racial diversity in management were 35% more likely to have financial returns above their industry mean. 35%. We know that diversity fuels innovation, but we also know that diversity actually impacts the bottom line. So we need to have this conversation and understand what we could be doing to improve diversity in tech. We have to roll up our sleeves. We need to look at what our hiring looks like. Are we including diverse people when we're hiring on the hiring team? What do our daily stand-ups look like? When you walk by your break room, what does your break room look like? What does your Zoom room look like? It's really critical that we try to flip the script on this inequity that we have in tech. And how do we do that, right? I know it's just a big issue, but it's essential. So what are some things that you can do? I think one thing is think about hiring and think about your talent pool. You know, as you've seen in these last few slides, there are a number of ways that you can recruit tech talent. Number one is through going to your community college. Community colleges across this nation actually have very diverse student populations, and most of them have robust IT offerings. So why not look at, hey, let's expand our talent pool, not just go to the four-year institutions, but let's look at the talent coming out of community college, looking at those coding academies that exist. Let's think differently about where we source talent. The other thing we can do is look for those organizations in tech. As an example, BDPA, which is a tech organization for African Americans, Latinas in tech. We have Out in Tech. There are a number of these organizations, Women Who Code, Women in High Tech. So let's look at these organizations to say, hey, we really want to improve our recruiting. So we can partner with those organizations to say, look, we have a diversity strategy and we would like to partner with you to source talent. The other thing that we can do as well is how do we build diversity into our institutions? And what do we need to do to address the culture? You know, for hiring diverse talent, and that's a big part of what we need to do. But if you don't retain that talent, you still have an issue. And that speaks to culture. And so we need to have those conversations and understand, is our culture welcoming? You know, are we defining what a culture fit is? And there is a real challenge with the culture fit because we say, well, you have to fit into our culture. What does that mean exactly? Define that. When you are saying that in interviews, when you are saying this in your job descriptions, perhaps before you include that, think about what culture fit means. Does that mean that they have to look like you? Do they have to love the same sports teams? Do they have to want to, you know, enjoy gaming? What does culture fit look like? And then if you want to include that language in a job description or in a presentation with potential applicants or potential employees, then define what that means. Culture fit is that you really want to come to work every day as your authentic self, that you enjoy, problem solving, that you really enjoy working in a innovative environment. So really think about what you mean with culture, and then, do some, when people are doing surveys, employee engagement surveys, it's amazing to me that there's not sometimes that follow-up. So ask those questions in your employee engagement. And then when you're getting feedback from your employees, really dive into it and say, we have these issues. You will normally or naturally uncover some issues when you do those employee engagement surveys. You will come across some issues of diversity. So I know that many times it feels like a very heavy load to address. But, looking and unpeeling and saying, okay, if we have this situation where we have a lot of our employees leaving, why are they leaving? Are we taking exit interviews seriously? Are we following up when we get that data from exit interviews to constantly iterate our culture, right? Constantly tweaking. We think about it in an agile way, right? So we are tweaking, release, tweaking, release. So there needs to be a concerted effort in looking at culture and how you want to retain those employees that you've hired, right? That's very critical to diversity. But what is also critical to diversity is mentoring. You know, when you have a number of employees of different ethnicities, cultures, sexual orientation, are you providing mentoring for those employees? Because many times you just need someone to help guide you. And I'll give you an example. I was in a role and I was really having a hard time. And I felt myself pulling away from the office. I felt myself pulling away from the job where it was becoming a real situation for me mentally because I felt myself hitting depression. And so I called a mentor and I said, can I talk with you? I'm really struggling. And she said, sure, let's get a coffee. So we had a great conversation over coffee where she interviewed me essentially for my role. And she said, clearly, Linda, you are quite qualified for this position. What I think you need to do is number one, it may be time for you to search for a new position. However, what I think you need to do is throw yourself into some organizations around tech. Start talking with people, learning more about what's happening in your community, and also commit to your community. Give back, get involved. I did those things and it helped me tremendously. That's the essential part of mentoring. It's giving that coaching and helping someone as they're struggling with a situation or giving them counsel. So, these are things that are essential for, and I keep saying essential, but they are for a diverse, robust, awesome culture. And the other thing that you need to do is be intentional. So when you're hiring, again, what are those organizations that you can reach out? And how do you define that strategy to say, we want to have more women in this space. We want to have more people of color in this space. So I believe that it's also about strategy. So defining it, actually sitting down, getting on the whiteboard, refining, defining, and creating something where you can score yourself, where you can track your progress in creating a more diverse workforce. I will share with you that I believe that tech is a solution to poverty and underrepresentation. I think we have a real awesome opportunity in tech to change the narrative of poverty and underrepresentation. Tech opens doors. Tech pays well. Tech is ever evolving, and there's always opportunity to learn more and do more. And I believe that what we can do is attack um, those areas of poverty and say we have a solution as a tech ecosystem, because that's what we do in tech is we are disruptors, we design solutions. So why can't we solve this? Are we having conversations to say, you know, how do we address these issues in our community? Are we sitting down as tech leaders, as tech Jedis with community organizations to say, we want to address these issues? How can we partner with you to create a really awesome solution to what we're seeing happening in our communities? You know, the gap grows, and we've seen with COVID what that divide looks like. So, you know, we've all attended the luncheons, the dinners where they talked about the digital divide, had the, you know, the rubber chicken, the rice with salad, and the piece of cheesecake. And, you know, we nodded our heads and we thought about it, but then COVID hit and we really saw that divide. And it's heavy when you think of it. But, you know, we can actually address this divide by leaning in and having conversations with those community leaders to say, we want to attack this. How can tech be an essential partner to the efforts in community to address poverty and underrepresentation? The other thing, and I love saying this, is when you see us, you can be us. Um, it is proven, a lot of studies have shown that in order to draw more people in to a discipline, they want to look up and see themselves. And so when I am visible in the community, when I'm speaking, I want to make sure that girls can see me and they can aspire to say, if she can do it, I can do it. I spoke with two young ladies from Girls Inc. Several weeks ago in a mock interview. It made me feel really good that to lean in and listen to them, have a conversation with them, and learn more about what they want to be. But also, I felt very good and hopeful that I inspired them to keep going. And so, you know, I will also share with you that, you know, African Americans, as an example, have heard a lot of their career, you know, work hard and keep your head down. And granted, we all need to work hard. But when you hear that over time, you're constantly down, your head's constantly down, and you're doing this. But I encourage us to say, okay, let's stop and look around at each other, high five each other, because we need to see each other. And then we need to lift each other up so then young people can see us. You have a lot of young people, a lot of focus on young people pursuing, you know, coding and getting involved in tech. And it's very essential that they understand that this is a place for them, right? So when you see us, you can be us, be visible, be present, engage, you know, find a way to engage with those communities of kids and expose them to tech and let them see how you've been successful. And I believe that we can address that gap by being ever present. Um, but I will share that, while it is important that we focus on youth, it is also important that we fix the problems that we have now and start again erasing the bias in our hiring processes and actually bringing more diversity into our organizations. Because, it, we want to think about this in a couple of ways. We can encourage more youth, and especially youth of color, to pursue a tech discipline, but they can't fix what's broken. So there needs to be a strategy also when we're saying we want to focus on kids, great, but we still have to fix what's broken because we can, create talent pipelines where kids are running into tech disciplines in our universities and post-secondary. But if we don't fix the problem, what will happen after they complete? So it's not just, hey, we need to focus on youth. It's also, we need to make sure that we are creating a pipeline now of people who are out there who are in tech now or who want to pursue a tech career. And we need to start there as well as with children. So I think that, when I think about diversity in tech, I think that in our talent pipeline, we have a lot of talent that we can mine. We just need to have a real intentional conversation and strategy where we address those issues, and we can create this really awesome talent pipeline to have this diversity that we need. Diversity fuels innovation. So I want to thank you very much for your attention. I really hope that when you think about this, you take some action back. We sit through so many virtual conversations these days. We go to conferences, we take notes, but do we actually take action? And so I encourage you to think about this and have a conversation with your hiring manager. Have a conversation with your team to say, what can we do to help redesign this talent pipeline? What can we do to reach out and encourage more people to enter tech? How do we get involved with our schools and partner with those organizations? How do we attack our culture and ensure that our culture is welcoming? So have that conversation, lean into it, because I think that we can really flip the script on the tech talent pipeline and really change the narrative of the lack of diversity in tech. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed this discussion.